On this edition of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast, an in-depth conversation with Okotoks Dawgs and Dawgs Academy player turned coach turned GM Tyler Hollick. Welcome to episode 119 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. The COVID-19 pandemic has left many bats on shoulders around this province as athletes, coaches, and everyone else involved in the game are relegated to their garages and basements, waiting to maybe, just maybe, get to train again in familiar facilities. Add in this blast from Old Man Winter, and those quarters have been real tight lately. So it was welcome news to see some training resume on Monday, and many were chomping at the bit to get going. Among them was Tyler Hollick. The Okotoks Dawgs and Dawgs Academy general manager has had to oversee a very quiet Seaman Stadium area over the last several months, but hopefully that can come to an end this spring. So last week we connected with Hollick for an in-depth chat about growing up in the Dawgs system, moving on to Chandler-Gilbert Community College, and then the San Francisco Giants organization before ultimately returning home. Tyler, thanks so much for joining us here on the podcast.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Joe.
Let's start off talking about the here and now. How weird is it being around the ballpark and not having it as busy as it normally is?
Well, everybody's had a fun year, that's for sure. It's been a bizarre year across all industries in the world, and obviously specifically in the sports industries. You look at even the highest level of each sport with what's going on with the NHL and MLB and NFL. I think everybody's handling it the best they can and trying to follow their local provincial or state guidelines and for us specifically following what AHS is advising us to do to try and keep our players and our staff and all the families as healthy as possible. But to answer your question, it's been very weird. It's been this is our second kind of complete shutdown, with one happening as soon as COVID hit Alberta area here last March and April, and then again starting in early December there till Monday. So it's kind of been weird, but we're still, as a staff, we're still facilitating our virtual training. Our players have been going 5 days a week with every resource they can, whether they're hitting in their garage, setting up a mattress against a wall and getting a throwing program in. The majority of our players, if not all, have done a really, really good job of not only staying in shape, but progressing some of their skills where they can. So I think when we come in on Monday, we're going to hit the ground running, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So.
You segued really well into my next question, because I know pivot has been maybe one of the most overused words over the last year or so, but from a baseball perspective, how much has that been kind of the mantra to not just the staff and the coaches, but also to the athletes that you guys have?
Well, we talk about it all the time to the kids about, dealing with adversity and being resilient. And, when things don't go your way, how are you going to react? And the world, metaphorically punches you in the mouth. How are you going to respond? So, as a staff and leadership all the way down from our managing director, and we're not just going to lie down and take it. So our players kind of understand that and feel that energy as well. And, they're so highly motivated, and they're such great kids, and they've worked so hard for, the point that they're at in their career, that they don't want to kind of let, the gains of the development that they've had over the past year or 3 years or whatever amount of years in the academy kind of go by the wayside because of something that didn't go their way. So, the restrictions come down, and obviously smarter people than myself are making these rules and trying to make or keep everybody safe. So, we follow those to the T and make sure that everything is safe, but we're able to facilitate as much as we can in terms of development for the guys.
How excited are you personally for the day that we're able to get back to some sense of normalcy, even to look forward to Monday, for example, able to have athletes back on the grounds and doing what they love?
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, just to even see baseball back on TV here, hopefully in a couple of weeks with spring training returning, it's going to be great. But, right down to our level, Monday is going to be a long trek for us. We split our academy into 16 different groups. Obviously, we're extremely blessed with the Seaman Stadium complex and our indoor facility here at the Duvernay Fieldhouse to have a lot of open space and keep everybody socially distanced. But our staff is going to be basically going from 6 a.m. to about 10 o'clock at night, Monday through Sunday, and making sure we can facilitate the one-on-ones and get everybody their reps and continue. So, I think, one hand is going to be really exciting. It's going to be an absolute grind for the staff, and I know they're prepared for it. So extremely proud of them for that. And then for the college summer team, you get outside and get the fans back in Seaman Stadium in whatever capacity we can and whatever, we're allowed to, is going to be an absolute blast. I know we've got countless calls, emails, and just letters of support, just saying how much or how excited everybody's is to see Dawgs baseball back in Okotoks and hopefully defend our 2019 WCBL title. So it's going to be I can't wait for that day. We've been counting down the days and since this whole thing started. So
it's kind of crazy to think that you're still defending champions. That being said, I mean, that gives you a lot more motivation, I suppose, and even whether it be at the academy level or college level, that must be one of the messages that you pass along to the guys, is that you still have to take that into consideration. You still have to be training to be the best, because the best are, frankly, trying to train up just as much as you are.
Totally. I think that's a really cool aspect of our program, is that when kids enter this program at 11 or 12 years old in our Pee Wee program, they go through the Bantam, they graduate through our 18U academy, and their goal is to play on the WCBL college team, before they get possibly a chance to play at the professional level if they do. So, it's kind of that, it doesn't really stop. It's not I don't think there's extra motivation there. I think it's just kind of always something that they take a lot of pride in. And, whether you're 12 years old or you're on the college team, it's one big family and you take pride in the Dawgs name. So, I think I guess that's the one positive, is we're still defending half, but doesn't mean much until once the first pitch is thrown for the 2021 season. So, I know the guys have been working hard. We're really excited about the roster that Coach Mitch Schmidt and Dave Robb, Andy Peterson, and Joe Surgeon put together. I've been involved at a very preliminary, or I would say 30,000 foot view, and just kind of seeing the roster putting together combined with a lot of strong American talent, a ton of Canadian talent, and a lot of our ex-academy grads or alumni. And it's a really exciting team, and really excited about it. So.
Really has to be interesting from your perspective to be able to be sort of at that 30,000 foot level while also being a product of the academy itself. And I want to go back in time a little bit. Being the Calgary kid you are, how did it get to be that you got hooked on baseball instead of on hockey or football like most Canadians typically do?
Oh, it was kind of a weird journey. I always thought I was going to be a hockey player. I was much more talented at hockey than I was at baseball growing up, and played on all the Calgary select teams through the younger levels, and then Pee Wee and Bantam and everything. And then my grandfather was actually on Team Canada, won the World Championship in I think it was 1955, and scored the game-winning goal against Russia. And we still play the old tapes back. And my older brother played hockey, or one of my older brothers played hockey, and it was just kind of one of those things I thought I was always going to do. I think fortunately, and not at the time, I played all year round, and I kind of got burnt out by that early teenage, and I was really always interested in baseball. I always found myself playing back games or trying to. I remember you could rent games on MLB TV for $3 a game, and I always used to try and ask my mom once a week if I could just watch the game, and I always just seemed to be drawn more towards baseball. And fortunately enough, my dad was a super big baseball nut. My brother played as well, so I was always going to his games, and I just found a passion for it. So I quit hockey when I was about 13. Played in North Calgary there my last year with Centennial Little League, and luckily enough, John Arcandia restarted the Calgary Dawgs back in Okotoks to be the Okotoks Dawgs travel team. And I got a message from one of my teammates that played in Centennial the year before and said, "Hey, we're looking to go to this travel team, and you should come try out." So we went to, this is way before Duvernay Fieldhouse was built. Seaman Stadium was just under initial construction, and we were in Okotoks Junior High gym hitting plastic balls with Vince and Matt Arcandia as our coaches, and Tanner Osberg and Dave Robb. And John was, recruiting me there when I first showed up, and kind of said, "This is the vision, and this is what we want to do. We want to kind of get a Little League mantra, and you're going to get coached by independent professional coaches. And if you want to play college baseball or professional baseball, this is an opportunity for you. So this might be something that is, something you really want to look into. My dad was always pushing me. My parents in general were always pushing me to pursue baseball at the highest level, or whatever I was going to do, just going all in. So we started making the drive from North Calgary to Okotoks, and that was before Stony Trail and all that. So 4 o'clock sitting in Deerfoot Trail for an hour and a half commute both ways. And but obviously, flash forward, I couldn't thank the Dawgs enough for the opportunity it gave me. And I was at a point in my life in as a freshman in high school where I could go left or right. Some of the greatest mentors and people I still look up to these days as they're successful, not specifically day to day with the Dawgs anymore, but in their professional business lives as they moved on from coaching, just role models and mentors to look up to. So just kind of came full circle for me. It became my family, and in reality, for as long as I can almost remember, it's all I've really ever known. So got the opportunity to play down at Chandler-Gilbert Community College in Arizona there, committed to Ohio State, and came back and played parts of 2 years on the college summer team and was drafted right off the field. So played for the Dawgs and coached for the Dawgs as many opportunities as I can get. So that's kind of the whole story.
It's really incredible to me, especially when you look at how quickly you've kind of ascended up. And I want to know from your perspective, what's it like to see the program where it is now versus what it was like as an athlete back in 2007 to 2010?
It's super interesting, actually, that question. I think about that a lot. I've heard this quite a few times, especially as I've come back coaching, and a lot of the old academy or original J-Dawgs alumni came back to start coaching. Brett and Guthrow, Aaron Ethier, Curtis Taylor. I think that's a really big sign of a really good program when you come through it and you want to come back right away and give back. And you see a lot of our current academy alumni that are still playing college baseball, whether they're rehabbing an injury over the summer, they want to take a summer off and just coach and give back. Ex-professionals with, guys like LaRon Smith, who's drafted the Twins 2018, comes back and coaches us in the offseason. Jordan Procession did it for a number of years up to AAA with the Dodgers and the Red Sox. We all want to come back and give back to the program. So, there's a lot of time in reflecting of what the program used to be like and how far it's grown. I think there's a couple differences. The academy's grown quite a bit in terms of number of players. We've added 4 teams since the original inauguration year, I guess, in 2007 in Okotoks. And it became kind of, it transitioned from that travel team, club team, where we didn't really have an indoor facility to work out of that was privately ours. We had the one stadium there that we shared with the college summer team, obviously with them taking priority to this kind of, full circle grassroots all the way up from age 12 to now, that whole academy feel. We've I think assimilated really well with the community. The town of Okotoks has been unbelievable with welcoming us in, and obviously it is our home through and through now. But it's interesting. I think the talent has drastically improved. I mean, we have 14 Division I commits right now in the current academy now, and a lot of top, highly touted recruits coming in for the upcoming classes, which we're really excited about. But the one thing that I really appreciate about this place is, although there has been some material changes, we've got a unbelievable $24 million state-of-the-art facility. We have more players. Our coaches have been here year after year after year and seen it develop, but the vision really hasn't changed. And obviously it's been, altered year to year, but that original Dawgs philosophy, playing the game the right way and giving the kids everything we can, and, having them pursue excellence at the highest level, whether it be academically, in their baseball career, in their professional, lives afterwards, whether some are becoming lawyers or owning their own businesses or, whatever it may be. That was always, in my opinion, what I've always viewed of the Dawgs is trying to make you the best you. So I look back on it now as I get older and part of that original team. Obviously I was just focused on the baseball side of it, but the passion that John's brought and all the original coaches have passed down from that original 96 year. They kind of still, it's like the ghost of Yankee Stadium. It's like the ghost of the Okotoks Dawgs. They still kind of guide this place day to day, and those original Dawgs philosophies through and through are brought to our players in present day. So there's been, obviously the program's grown a lot, and it's a testament to what what we've been able to do and continue to provide our fans and our players. But that original Dawgs philosophy is still alive and well. So it's been a lot of fun to continue on the legacy, and hopefully for many, many more years to come.
You mentioned Chandler-Gilbert Community College, and you were inducted into their Hall of Fame back in 2019. What did that mean to you, especially given what you've gone through your career and been able to kind of take that step back and look at things in the rearview mirror a bit?
That was a really cool day. I'm extremely close with the coaches down there. 3 of the coaches down there are still involved in the program today. Outstanding program. Obviously, it's not the same resources and facilities that I got to play in high school, but the head coach on there, Russ Luce, is unbelievable person. He's a person first and a baseball coach second. What I mean is he was so enthralled with making his players the best people he can be, and he believed that if you can make good people and good young kids into good men are going to create good teams, and good teams are going to create good programs. And he's been the head coach there for well over a decade, and 5 guys in the big leagues, and tens of guys drafted, and it's been just an unbelievable success story. But the coolest thing about that is the opportunity I got from the Dawgs. Ironically enough, one of my colleagues now, Academy head coach Jeff Duda, was coaching me in high school, and I really want to go down to Arizona. That's where I thought the best baseball was played. There's 14 teams in the junior college circuit down there. I believe still to this day it's the best junior college conference in the country, and I wanted a chance to go prove it. And I thought if I had the opportunity, I could try and prove some people wrong or prove some people right, the way you look at it. But he gave a call down there. I actually got recruited and signed as a pitcher, and they were going to give me the opportunity to hit. And I pitched a little bit in high school and got down there, and I actually ran a little bit better. By the time I got down there, I ended up running just a sub-7, and I was throwing only about 83 miles an hour. And they said, well, one's going to play and the other one's not. So I looked at the roster the next day, and I wasn't on the pitcher's list, but I was on the position players list. So I made it through day one, and just kind of sprungboard my career there from that day forward. And went 2 for 38 my freshman fall, and called my dad, thought I was going to quit and thought I was going to get cut, and the world was falling. And I'll never forget the day they, at our exit meetings and before Christmas break, what to work on and be prepared to come back, or even if you made the team, really thought I was going to redshirt to get cut. And Coach Luce told me that he believes, and everybody around this table believes, more in me than I do in me. And I kind of sunk with me for the rest of my life, and especially going home to train for 3 weeks before the season came back, that I need to have a little more confidence in myself. And came back, had a good spring. I ended up cracking the starting lineup. Started almost every game. It was a freshman All-American, and then came back the following year. And my goal, after he took a chance on me, I always said I wanted to be the diamond in the rough for him, and I constantly worked at it. And, the following year, I was the first team All-American and National Player of the Year. I was actually the first one ever out of that conference and the school to be named National Player of the Year for that conference. So it was a crazy ride. And then kind of bringing it full circle, being able to talk to a lot of the academy guys that are down there, a lot of the current Chandler-Gilbert players. It just means the world. I mean, I was the first ever inductee, and I'm still the only inductee to this day. I think they're planning another one soon, but it was just an amazing opportunity, and it was a really cool time to be able to celebrate with Coach Luce and kind of that whole journey throughout the whole process. So.
And obviously one of the other things that came out of that, the 2012 MLB draft, your name's called in the 14th round by San Francisco. Do you remember where you were when you found out and what your reaction was?
Yeah, I was sitting in my dad's living room with my 3 older brothers and a couple of their significant others, my dad and my stepmom, and I had no idea what to expect, and it gave me a lot of insight moving forward. Advising the guys now, going through the similar processes. I thought I had a handle on it, and you start to hear chatter from all over the place. You're going. At some point, I was told I was going to go in from the first round to the 30th round, and I guess if the law of average was correct, I was almost right in the middle at 14. So I had no idea what to expect, although I had my own expectations for myself, and it was a whirlwind day. You start watching at, I think it was 10 a.m., and you're watching 12 rounds go by, and you're getting calls in the 8th and the 9th and the 11th and the 12th and the 13th, and it was a longer story for another day, but it was miscommunication there, and I thought I was going in the 13th, and then again in the 14th to the Angels. And and we were certain that we were going in the 14th. I talked to the scout that I had a pretty good relationship with down in Arizona from the Angels, and they picked I think it was a left-handed pitcher out of North Carolina, or maybe it was around before. Anyways, another player. And the Giants actually picked right after them, and we were all humming and hawing, going, "Oh, it's okay, Tyler." I was super disappointed because I thought I was going there. And in between the chatter and them trying to make me feel better, we heard Hollick, Chandler-Gilbert Community College, and obviously the room went nuts, and it was a lot of fun. So just to be recognized, and that was kind of always my ultimate goal, my motivation growing up. It all kind of came crashing down in that one moment. It was emotional, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I will never forget that day. If I had anything to say about it, but it was a very emotional up and down day, that's for sure.
You got to play a couple of years in the Giants system. You got to play with and against a few future MLB players. Any come to mind that really left you awestruck, or guys that you knew even at that young of age were going to be going to the show?
Yeah, that was when I realized I wasn't as good as I thought I was. So there was I was on the same field with some guys that you could physically see that they could do stuff I just couldn't. I was facing some guys that were throwing upwards of 100 miles an hour at 18 years old, and can't even fathom how they're able to do that. But specifically names, I remember Joey Gallo broke the rookie league home run record my year. He's in the big leagues now. I think he's had 4 or 5 years in the big leagues, and gonna look like he has about 10 more in him. But just unbelievable power. He hit a ball against us that was about 500 feet over the lights in right center. Got to play against Yasiel Puig in his first professional game. That was a lot of fun. Very, very different level of athlete there as well. I remember Addison Russell was a really special player. I think he was 9th overall to the A's that year. And Keon Kela was a closer in the Northwest League. I know he's had a few dozen saves in the big leagues as well. There's quite a few guys throughout the years that have kind of stood out to me, and that's I've watched kind of grow their career, and now they're established big leaguers. Cool thing about playing in the minor league is a lot of the major league rehab is done down at those levels. So, got to play against Troy Tulowitzki and Roy Oswalt, and a big name for Jays fans back in my high school days with John McDonald. And that's I remember he was making all those diving plays on Sportsnet, and actually ended up catching a fly ball in center field for him. It was pretty cool, just to kind of see, kind of have it come full circle, and actually got to play against him. So, a lot of really talented players, and it's just a different level for some guys for sure, but all good memories.
As I was going through some of the rosters, one name that stuck out to me in Augusta in 2013 was former Blue Jay Joe Biagini. Any memories of him?
Anybody that watches his interviews, that's Joe. That's not a an act. That's just who he is. He was quirky. He's definitely a pitcher, and I know a lot of pitchers. I give him the gears around here, but they definitely are their own breed. But he was a ton of fun, extremely positive, hardworking, genuine, but definitely beats to his own drum for sure. So I was not surprised yet. He was upwards of 95, 96 when I was playing with him, but sat in that 90, 92. I thought it was a great move for his career. When I saw him get Rule 5 there and got a chance to relieve, so he could kind of eliminate some of his repertoire and kind of max out for 15 or 20 pitches. But heck of a career he's put out, and it's been he's one that I'll remember for a long, long time.
So you're back home now, and you've been serving in a multitude of roles with the Dawgs. Did you know, even when you were playing, that this was something that you would be aiming towards, is still staying in the game with the Dawgs, or in some way, shape, or form with some organization down the road?
Yeah, I mean, I look back on it now, and I remember consciously thinking when I was playing it in the academy that this is something I always wanted to do. I was really motivated in my career, but I always thought it was such a cool idea that I could impact so many more careers than just mine if I came back and coached. And obviously the academy's grown since I came back in 2012 offseason, started helping coach and help out with the next generation of Dawgs. But this is something that's, the legacy of John and the Dawgs of what he's done is something I've always been highly, highly motivated for, and continue to try and hone my skills professionally in a business sense, and as a baseball coach, mentor, leader, and just a teammate to the staff and the rest of the academy, as best I can. But no, this has been a goal of mine for as long as I can remember, and almost from day one when I started playing with the Dawgs. I remember I got drafted. One of my first questions the next day when I was at Seaman Stadium was, can I come back and coach in the off season? And then when I got released in spring training 2015, my first call was to my parents. And then my second call was to John Kennedy to see if I could come back and if they had availability for a coaching spot. And he welcomed me back with open arms and got an opportunity to start coaching full time. So that's where my passion has led me, and I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity. So
when you look back on it, what are you most proud of?
I think, well, I'm most proud of the Dawgs name. I'm proud that I was cut from this cloth. The loyalty of the Dawgs that they've shown me, and I think I've reciprocated back. All the way from starting from that original Okotoks team. I wasn't part of the original 96 team. I was 4 years old at the time, but would have been a fan if I knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was part of that original Okotoks team. I was the first ever graduating class of the academy. I was the first ever draft pick to come out of the Okotoks Dawgs Academy in 2012 there. And I've just kind of seen it grow full circle with the relationship that I've built. I coach with some of my best friends to this day that were my teammates back then. It's just the relationships that I built and being cut from this cloth. I'm extremely proud of, and I guess the secondary part of that is I'm extremely proud of the kids coming through here. I think they go through a lot. I think we demand more of them than any other sports program, especially at the high school level in I would say all of North America. These guys practice 6 to 15 times a week if they're morning, and then practice after school and weights, and they're under a lot of pressure. Some are moving away from home, and I think they handle it with unbelievable maturity and professionalism. They're involved in the community. They do school readings. They help with youth camps, all while trying to pursue their career at the highest level, whether that's signing a letter of intent to a school for a scholarship, or getting their education to pursue their professional interests at the business level, or they're trying to play professional baseball. It's an ongoing, I call it the world's greatest project. There's so much stuff to continue to improve, and it's just such a fun thing to be a part of. But just I guess that answer was a little long-winded, but it was I'm just extremely proud of a lot of things that are involved in this program. So
obviously you've seen the game from so many different levels and that. So I'm curious, what kinds of advice do you give to those young athletes who walk through the doors of Dawgs Academy or the college program for the first time, wondering if they can take a shot at baseball as being a career, especially from the standpoint of somebody who is from Southern Alberta?
Yeah. And I think it's pretty cool that the Dawgs have continued to build that name of players going down to the United States, whether they're at college or professional level, and continue to make a name for themselves. But I think the biggest piece of advice is it's great to have goals. It's great to have expectations for your career, especially with the amount of time and effort these guys put in. But you got to take it one day at a time. I mean, I was cut from Baseball Alberta, as political and as maybe that might be or whatever. I don't think I was necessarily cut out for that at that point in my career. I wasn't, maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I was. Regardless of that, 2 years later, I was drafted by the San Francisco Giants. And that's kind of a weird story, but that's individual to me. It's just that, whatever you do when you're 12 years old, or it doesn't matter when you're 14. And when you're 14 years old, you don't have to play in the big leagues the next year. So it's just kind of that ongoing journey of trying to find that right development plan for you that week, that month, that year, to continue to get better. I mean, I don't think there's any better story coming out of this program, or that I've even heard of, is Jim Henderson. Jim Henderson, first ever big leaguer out of the Dawgs program, had 36 saves in the big leagues for the Brewers and the Mets. And that guy was in the minor leagues for 10 years. Went through multiple shoulder surgeries, faced retirement multiple times, grew up in Southern Alberta, was a good high school baseball player, went to Midland Junior College, wasn't heavily recruited at a Midland, and ended up going to Tennessee Wesleyan, a very good NAIA, ended up being a 23rd rounder, I think, in 2003 to the Expos, I believe. But Rule 5 by the Cubs had a ton of ups and downs in his career and just kept battling and battling and battling. And if you had asked, Jim to lay out his career at the age of 15, there's no way that he could have said that I'm going to deal with this and this and this and this and have to deal with it, or to battle through to play in the big leagues. So I think, the whole idea of continuing to just put your best foot forward every day, put your head down and go to work, because you just don't know what's going to happen, is probably my biggest piece of advice. It's a late bloomers type of game. It's a longevity. It's a every day in, day out type of game. So it's Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is your baseball career. So you just got to keep grinding, and we'll see where the chips fall at the end of it. But regardless of all that, they're getting so much more out of this than just the stats, just the home runs, or just the college career. They're learning how to deal with adversity and time management. They're learning how to be a good teammate and be competitive, and all those really, really good characteristics that, whether they play 4 years in college and that's it, or they're like Jim and they play in the big leagues for 4 or 5 seasons. Eventually that jersey's coming off your back, and whether you want to be a father or a better son or brother, teammate, coworker, leader, all these skills that they're learning, specifically with the Dawgs, but in through the game of baseball, of that everyday grind that life is going to carry with them for the rest of their life. So it's just life's every day. So just keep learning through that.
Final question for you, Tyler, and you've probably heard some of your own athletes answer this question, so I'm curious how you respond to it. What does the game of baseball mean to you?
I think, kind of piggybacking on what I just said, it's so symbolic of life. I mean, it is baseball is every day. It's not like football where you have to get hyped up for one game on Sunday, and I know there's a lot more that goes into it than just that, but baseball, you're expected to perform every day. I mean, we were in the minor leagues, we were playing 140 games in 151 days, and we're traveling for 13-14 hours to get in at 4 a.m. and play the next day, and the reality is that life went on. So how are you going to prepare today to be better tomorrow, and so on and so forth. So just I guess it's so symbolic with the way the real world works, I guess, when you get more out of baseball. It's just, I think all those skills and all those characteristics that you kind of build through the game of baseball helps you so much as you move forward in your life. So baseball is a large part of my life. I like to think that I identify myself as more of just a baseball person, player, coach, whatever it may be, but obviously it's helped mold me in my career, and as in my personal life, is as much as anything. So just extremely thankful and grateful for the stuff that I've been able to be given. And I guess even when I moved here to Okotoks, baseball introduced me to my future wife, so I can't complain too much about that. It's been I got a lot of blessings along the way because of the game of baseball and where it's led me. So yeah.
Fantastic stuff. Well, we're very lucky to have you on the podcast as well and share some of your stories and insights. Tyler, thanks so much for the time, and all the best as we gear towards perhaps a baseball season in 2021.
You bet. That's our plan. Thanks a lot, Joe, for your time.
Thanks again to Tyler Hollick for joining us this week, and thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. Speaking of Okotoks, a special shout out again to our friends at Tailgate Mercantile for putting some of our t-shirts up in stock. You can head to their website or their store to pick yours up ahead of the season. Until next time, thanks for all of your support, no matter the platform of Alberta Dugout Stories.